wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Najwa Rahma and I'm excited to share with you today what I learned from listening to the three really fascinating podcast episodes. Each one podcast explore into a completely different subject, offering some unique insight and interesting fact. I'm looking forward to taking you to the main ideas, key concept, and even some of the language used in each one. Okay, but firstly, let me introduce the podcast to you all. The first podcast that captured my attention was Your Dead to Me, and the specific episode I chose was titled Charles Dickens and Christmas. This episode explored the life and times of the renowned author Charles Dickens, particularly focusing on his experience and influence on Christmas tradition. The engaging discussion was led by Greg Gender with his insightful contribution for, from Dr. Emily Bell and the comedic perspective of Mike Wozniak. Next, the second podcast is into BBC Science, Inside Science, for an episode posing a thought-provoking question. Is gene therapy the future? This episode ventured into the cutting-edge world of genetic medicine, examining the latest advancement and potential of gene therapy in treating various diseases. And finally, I listened to an episode titled Has US Really Given Ukraine More Aid Than Europe? This podcast tackled a significant and timely global issue, analyzing the contrasting claims made by different leaders regarding the scale and nature of aid provided to Ukraine by the United States and European nations. Okay, let's talk about the first podcast. The You Dead to Me podcast paint a vivid picture of Christmas during Charles Dickens' era. The host discussed not only how Dickens himself celebrated the holiday, but also how his experiences and observations shaped his iconic Christmas story. Most notably, A Christmas Carol. They brought to light some rather peculiar and entertaining Christmas tradition from the Victorian period, such as the surprising spectacle of elephants being led to walk on frozen river. They also delved into the culinary aspects, even sharing detail about Dickens' family's special recipe for Christmas punch, which sound quite potent and festive. One of the central themes explored was the genesis of Dickensian Christmas. The podcast highlighted about Dickens' own fond childhood's memory of Christmas, combined with his literary genius, essentially craft the popular image of a warm, convivial Christmas centers around family gatherings, hearty meals, and a general atmosphere of goodwill. It was fascinating to learn how his storytelling not only reflects the Christmas custom of his time, but also significantly contributed to their evolution and popularization in subsequent generations. This episode underscored the profound impacts of his writing on shaping the way we celebrate Christmas even today. The term Dickensian Christmas is a really rich and evocative concept that emerged from Charles Dickens' literary works, particularly A Christmas Carol. It goes beyond just a specific time period. It represents a set of ideas and feelings associated with the holiday. When we talk about Dickensian Christmas, we often imagine a scene filled with cozy interiors, perhaps a crackling fireplace, families gathered together in a warmth and laughter, and a table laden with a traditional festive food. There's often an underlying theme of generosity, compassion, and redemption of spirit. Think of the transformation of Ebenezer Scrooge, the journey and scapulates many of the value was associated with a Dickensian Christmas. This concept has permeated our cultural understanding of Christmas, influencing everything from decoration and tradition to the emotional tone we strive for during the holiday season. Even today, when we aim for a classic, heartwarming Christmas, we're often consciously or unconsciously trying to create that Dickensian atmosphere. Beyond the heartwarming aspect, the podcast also shed light on some of the more unusual Christmas practice of the time. The image of elephants venturing out on the ice, while perhaps not a widespread tradition, certainly paints a picture of a very different and perhaps more adventurous approach to winter festivities. It highlights how Christmas celebrations have evolved over time and how different cultures and eras had incorporated unique elements of the holiday custom. And in the Your Dad to Me episode, I noticed the phrase to get into the spirit of things. This is an idiom significant the act of embracing the enthusiasm and feeling the excitement associated with a particular event. In this case, Christmas. You might say, we put up the decoration to really get into the spirit of things. Another expression I noticed was the ghost of Christmas past, which is direct reference to Dickens as a Christmas carol and is now a common idiom to revert to reflecting on past events, often with a sense of nostalgia or regret. People might say, look at that old photo always brings up the ghost of Christmas past. Okay, after having explored the festive world of Christmas, Dickens Dickensian Christmas, let's now turn our attention to the fascinating realm of modern science and the potential of gene therapy. Podcaster, the BBC Inside Science episode on gene therapy provides a comprehensive overview of this rapidly advancing field. Experts discuss the fundamental principle of gene therapy, which involves altering a patient's genes to treat or cure disease. They highlight some remarkable success stories, such as the restoration of hearing in individuals with genetic hearing loss and the effective treatment of sickle cell disease, a debilitating bull disorder. This episode also explores the potential of gene therapy is bolstering the immune system of children born with severe immunodeficiency disorders, offering them a chance at a healthier life. To delve a bit deeper, gene therapy essentially involves introducing, altering, or removing genetic material within an individual's cells to treat a disease. This can be done in a various ways. For instance, fault genes that cause disease can be replaced with healthy copies. In the other cases, new genes might be introduced into the body to help fight a particular illness. Scientists are also exploring ways to edit or correct the existing fault genes directly within the cells. The development of safe and effective delivery method of this genetic modification is a crucial area of ongoing research. While still a relatively new field, the progress in gene therapy over the past few decades has been remarkable, offering hope for treatments and even cures that were once considered impossible. One aspect of gene therapy discussion that particularly stood out to me was the emphasis on accessibility. It's inspiring to hear scientists not only focusing on developing this incredible treatment, but also actively thinking about how to ensure they can reach everyone who needs them. This consideration for ethical and societal implication is a vital part of scientific advancement. From the Baby Side Inside Science episode, also I mentioned the term cutting edge was used frequently to describe the research and technology involved in gene therapy. It really emphasizes how advanced and innovative this field is. Another phrase I note was therapeutic potential, which refers to the possibility and capacity of the treatment to cure of or alleviate a disease. Scientists often use this phrase when discussing promising new medical approaches. Finally, let's move on to our third podcast, which tackles a complex geopolitical issue concerning the aid provided to Ukraine. Podcaster, this episode has the US really given Ukraine more aid than Europe? Critically examine that assertions made by political figures like Donald Trump and Emmanuel Macron regarding the comparative level of assistance provided to Ukraine by the United States and European nations in the context of the ongoing conflict. The discussion aimed to dissect the claims and provide a more data-driven perspective on the reality of aid contribution. The host likely engaged with experts, possibly from institutions like the Institute, to analyze the available data on military, financial, and humanitarian aid. The podcast likely highlight the nuances involved in comparing different types of aid and the challenge in obtaining a unified and transparent overview of all contributions. The discussion likely developed into the methodologies used to track and quantify, acknowledging the complexity arising from varying reporting methods and the inclusion of diverse forms of support, such as in-kind contribution and logistical assistance. The Ukraine Support Tracker, as mentioned earlier, is a crucial initiative likely by an organization like the Kyle Institute, dedicated to the closely monitoring and analyzing the multi-phase aid being provided to Ukraine by a wide range of countries and international institutes. This tracker aims to provide a comprehensive and transparent overview of the financial, military, and humanitarian assistance pledged and delivered. One key takeaway from this podcast was the inherent difficulty in making simple comparison of aid contribution. In the podcast, addressing aid to Ukraine, I noticed the use of colloquial phrase to get the true picture. This idea emphasizes the desire to understand the reality of a situation, to uncover the accurate facts behind potential misleading statements. Another experience that amid ongoing negotiations which set the context of the discussion within the backdrop of continuous diplomatic effort. The word amid here simply means in the middle or during. Exploring these three diverse podcast episodes have been really truly enriching experience. Each of one offered a unique lens through which to examine different aspects of the world, from historical tradition to scientific advancement and complex global issues. Podcasts in the general serve a fantastic medium for in-depth learning and exploration. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch and listen to my presentation. This insightful podcast summary episode. I hope you find it informative and perhaps even spark your interest in exploring this topic further. Bye bye. I say thank you.